Trying to understand the difference between sexuality and gender can be confusing, but stay tuned because we're here to help. Hi, I'm Kristen with Unexpected Virtual Tours and Training, where we host radically creative virtual experiences and DEI training for remote and hybrid teams. Welcome to Coming to Terms, our way to explore the terminology that shapes our understanding of the diverse world around us. Today, we're looking into the complex and colorful spectrum of sexuality and gender. So click that like and subscribe buttons and let's get started. Now, there have been a lot of conversations recently in the media and maybe even in your workplace about sex and gender, in part because of unfortunate things like anti-trans legislation around the country, and in part because of positive efforts like Pride and the trans visibility movement, and efforts to make our society more inclusive. One reason that conversations around sex and gender may be difficult is that people don't often seem to share an understanding of what these terms mean. So let's jump in. We're going to start by talking about sex. That word can make people feel uncomfortable, but it's really important to use. When we're born, doctors assign babies a sex, either male or female. Now, this has to do with biological characteristics, including chromosomes and physical characteristics, but sex isn't as simple as that. Contrary to popular belief, it is not a binary, but it exists on a spectrum. Let's say that again. According to science, all bodies, regardless of sex, have naturally occurring variations in testosterone and estrogen, and some people are born intersex, meaning that they have reproductive anatomy different from the typical expectations for female or male bodies. Now let's talk about gender. There are a few different aspects of gender that are important here. First, gender identity. According to the Trevor Project, gender identity refers to a person's internal understanding of their own gender, which may or may not align with the sex that they were assigned at birth. People who don't feel that their gender matches up with the sex they were assigned at birth may identify as transgender, often referred to simply as trans. It's important to note, though, that gender identity, like sex itself, exists on a spectrum and can vary from person to person. Gender identity is not simply limited to male and female, but encompasses a wide range of identities, including male, female, non-binary, genderqueer, and agender. And folks who identify as part of those groups may or may not identify as trans. The idea that gender is a binary is a very Western and honestly somewhat new concept. Across the globe, many cultures embrace third, fourth, even fifth genders, including Indigenous American, Hindu, and Hawaiian populations. On the other hand, gender expression encompasses the external appearance of one's gender identity, such as clothing, mannerisms, and behavior. It's important to recognize that gender identity and gender expression are distinct aspects of identity, and they may or may not always align with the societal expectations or stereotypes. Now, if this is hard to understand, think of it this way. In the United States, it wasn't until 1923 that the Attorney General declared it was okay for women to wear pants in public. So something that is very common to us nowadays wasn't always considered acceptable dress for women. It just takes broadening of the mind and inclusivity to accept challenges to the status quo. One easy way we can show respect for individuals' gender identities is by using their correct pronouns. Pronouns are the words we use to refer to someone in place of their name. While many are familiar with she, her, and he, him pronouns, there are also gender-neutral pronouns, such as they, them, or sie, zer. Sometimes a person may prefer a traditional pronoun like he, and other times prefer to be referred to as they. Remember that even when their gender expression seems to match up with how you might expect a man or woman to look, a person may not wish to use traditional feminine or masculine pronouns. It's important here to let everyone make the call for themselves. Inviting people to share their pronouns without pressuring them is a respectful way to help them feel seen and included. Now let's talk about sexual orientation. Sexual orientation refers to a person's emotional, romantic, or sexual attraction to others. Common sexual orientations include heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, pansexual, and asexual, among others. Sexual orientation is independent of gender identity or gender expression, although, like gender, it can vary over a diverse spectrum and change over time. Just because someone has a non-traditional gender identity or expression doesn't necessarily mean that their sexual orientation is non-traditional as well. We should also briefly talk about the word queer. This word used to be considered a slur. However, queer has been reclaimed by many within the community as a proud identifier for those who do not adhere strictly to conventional categories of gender or sexuality. It's a term that speaks to the fluidity of identity and the resistance against rigid labels. It's best if you find out specifically what terms someone wants to use to describe themselves, but using queer should be okay as long as it's not used negatively. Queer, trans, and non-straight people have existed in our world for thousands of years. As society evolves, though, so does the language we use to describe ourselves. And this is a good thing. It's a change that reflects a deeper and growing understanding of the varied human experience. Embracing and correctly using the vocabulary of sexuality and gender is crucial for self-expression, allyship, and advocacy. And enabling people to live authentically and without fear creates a safer and more inclusive environment for everyone. So if you want to learn more about gender identity, expression, sexuality, or queerness, or maybe if you want to learn how to be a good ally and support someone who may be struggling, we've included some links below to the Trevor Project, an organization that advocates for LGBTQ+ youth and others exploring their identity. We've also linked to PFLAG, a nonprofit that supports and advocates for LGBTQ+ communities. And if you're here because you want to help make your workplace more inclusive, we've also thrown in some links and resources for celebrating Pride at work. So that's all for this episode of Coming to Terms. We hope this video has illuminated some of the key terms used to describe the rich spectrum of sexuality and gender. But the conversation doesn't have to end here, so we invite you to tell us how you're creating inclusivity in the comment section below, and check out the links that we've included in the description. For even more free resources or information about our live virtual experiences, check out our website at unexpectedvirtualtours.com. Let's continue to celebrate and learn from the vast diversity that makes up our world. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.